This is a story of how you can buy, fix, flip, and profit from real estate. And you don't have to be some guru with Lamborghinis, nice houses, or millions of followers. I'm just a regular dude from Canada that nobody really knows, but I figured out a blueprint and now I'm gonna share it with you. So, what to expect? I respect your time, so this video includes the right mentality to buy houses without your own money, my worst financial losses and what to avoid, and building the right team so you can scale your business properly. Part 1, are you a man or a mouse? And please don't say mouse because you're gonna need to be vocal about what you're doing. You're going to be the voice of real estate, whether that's in your entire city or just in your friend circle. This way, investors with cash know where to go. You. Believe it or not, there are a lot of very wealthy people with a lot of money and they're constantly looking for outlets on where to put it and where to invest. So truthfully, a closed mouth never gets fed, guys. Meaning, you have to ask for money if you're gonna get it. It's common sense, but it's not common practice. The difference between you today and the you that you wanna be in 3 years is one thing. Credibility. Your reputation is what makes your ask impactful. For example, when I started investing, I knew intuitively I was an introvert and like going to meetings and shaking people's hands was not for me. I had to find a way to kind of break the ice and have people approach me. If people approached me at a conference or some meeting, then it was all good. I wasn't awkward. I could easily talk about a conversation, but the idea of going to meet someone and shake their hand and start the conversation from nothing is very, very scary. So I knew I had to do something to kind of separate myself and get people to even want to talk to me. So I decided to make videos on YouTube. I didn't know why. I just had this calling that I got to do something on social media. Keep in mind, guys, this is back in 2012 when YouTube wasn't even close to what it is today. So by me uploading videos, it was very weird and very, very new, but I just knew I had to do something different. And the more and more videos I made and the more and more conferences and real estate meetups I would go to, people would be like, hey, you're that guy on YouTube. You're Matt Pichet. How about real estate? Can we talk about this? And it just made the conversations 10 times easier. But if you go back to my early channel days and watch those early videos, they were god awful, so awkward. I was stiff as a board. I put them up because this is what I had to do to separate myself from all of the other real estate investors, and it worked. The reality is nobody thinks you're as awkward as you think you are, and even if they do, who gives a shit? You need to do what you gotta do because nobody is putting themselves in front of a camera. Nobody is putting them in front of the limelight, ready to take criticism. So who cares? I don't care how awkward you are. I don't care how weird you think it is. I need you to start making videos, start talking about what you're doing on social media, preferably through video, and you'll see in 6 months, 12 months, everybody's gonna start coming up to you, and it's gonna be 10 times easier to get that conversation going and to raise money. 80% of real estate success is just showing up. There's no better saying than this. You don't have to be some super genius to invest in real estate and grow a business. And what you really need to do is tap in locally to what's going on in your local area or wherever you're investing in and just talk constantly about that. Specializing is the #1 thing you need to do. It is entirely responsible for all of my success in real estate. I just focused and specialized in one city, which is my local area where I live, Kitchener-Waterloo. It's 1 hour south of Toronto. If you don't know, it's a medium-sized city. If I'm comparing it to like the US especially, it's a pretty small city. I would write articles, I would go on podcasts, I would just talk, and if people were interested, I was always looking for partners to buy more real estate. From 2012 to like, I don't know, 2016, all I did was show up, make videos about this one town. Yeah, it didn't get a lot of YouTube views. The algorithm didn't really like it, but who did like it were local investors who were thinking about investing themselves, but soon realized that it was too much work. Everything I was talking about was like way over their head, way too technical. And eventually they would just reach out to me and go, Matt, I was gonna invest in real estate, but you seem to know exactly what you're doing. You're proven success. I've seen your videos. Why don't I just invest with you? I've bought and sold over 150 properties with none of my own money, just from showing up and talking about what I'm doing. Shadow another investor. So if you're new to real estate and don't have a lot of experience, and most importantly, don't have a lot of credibility, one of the great things you can do is find a local investor who's crushing it in your local market and see if you can work for them for free. Now, it sounds crazy, but you'll be surprised how many investors would obviously take your free help, but this is amazing for your long-term career because you're gonna learn so much just from rubbing shoulders with them. They're definitely gonna pass down some little nuggets nuggets to you, but most importantly, you're gonna build your credibility. You can kind of feed off of their success and be like, hey, I'm hanging out with so-and-so on Instagram, or I'm at so-and-so's property, check it out, I'm working for them for free. Like whatever you gotta do to kind of steal a bit of their clout and use it for yourself. Because a lot of people are gonna be watching your Instagram or watching your YouTube, and if they see you hanging out with them, rubbing shoulders with them, hey man, you must be legit. How can I invest with you? Now, the funny thing is, I get DMs from people all the time who are wanting to work for me, help me out with something, help me out with this, and whenever I propose a way that they can help me, crickets. The reality is, most people will never wanna do the work, which isn't surprising. Most people are lazy, but if you do message a savvy investor, a well-known investor, and you actually show up and work for them and do what you said you're gonna do, it could be absolutely amazing for your knowledge, but also for your long-term business, like I said, to build that credibility. Learn what a good deal is versus a no deal. So as I've been saying since 2012, quality is the most important thing for me. So when I'm buying rental properties especially, it's all about the location. I wanna make sure I'm near schools, amenities, baseball parks, grocery stores, all that kind of stuff. I wanna make sure the area is nice and safe to attract a quality tenant, but also, as you've seen, if you're a Fruitful follower, we make our houses look friggin' amazing. Our renovations are designed, they're staged, they look incredible, and my whole strategy with my whole real estate investing game is to just crush every other real estate investor. So especially if it's a flip or if it's a rental property, ours look way better than everybody else's on the street, that is for sure, and that's why they sell for the most, and that's why they rent for the most as well. And honestly guys, it's not hard to beat people these days. Like I said, people just barely show up, they just do what's minimum necessary, especially landlords with long-term rentals. They just put in the cheapest flooring, the shittiest color on the wall, the cheapest taps, the cheapest countertops, because they think, hey, it's a rental, it doesn't really matter. But guess what? They're going against me, a few doors down, who's got a designed house, the colors match perfectly, the house flows so well, the countertops are incredible. It's literally just putting in a little more work, not even that much, just a little more to absolutely crush every other real estate investor. So focus on quality where you're investing, that is the most important, and when you buy the property, make sure it looks friggin' amazing so you attract that quality tenant. They're more likely to pay rent, less likely to smash it and just mistreat your property. I've owned 50 single family properties, and guess how many times I've had a tenant not pay rent or damage the property? What do you think? I've had one time where a tenant didn't pay rent and like a couple days later they ended up paying, and how many times a tenant has smashed my property? Zero. It was who I was attracting to my properties. Because they look so friggin' amazing, I was attracting a higher quality tenant, a more professional tenant. They had dreams, they had aspirations, they had a family, they had a career. Plan your exit strategy from day one. So it's always important to figure out what your end strategy is gonna be even before you buy the property. And for me, especially with rental properties, I like to have a 5-year hold in mind. Now, we may not hold the property for the entire 5 years. If the market kicks ass and kind of keeps going up, maybe we'll sell the property in year 3, maybe we'll sell it in year 4. It really depends what makes sense in the market at that time. Or if we have a recession, let's say in year 4, probably not a good idea to sell in year 5. Maybe we'll sell in year 6 or 7. And this is what I tell all of my partners. We're really flexible, we're data driven. We're gonna make sure it makes sense to do what at a certain time. But even though we're flexible, we always have the end game in mind, the set plan, and we'll see if we can work around that plan. The worst thing you can do is just buy a property, cross your fingers, hope it cash flows, and hopefully you make money one day. This is what amateur investors do. This is how they lose money. This is how you hear about all the stories about they got the wrong tenant who smashed the property because they're just rushing things and they're not thinking like a savvy investor or a savvy business owner. Remember, this is an actual friggin' business, and those who treat it that way are gonna make a lot of money and have a lot of success in their life. Cash flow is not king. So for me, cash flow really isn't the most important thing. Like I said, I'm more of a quality guy. And you're gonna hear this everywhere in the normal real estate world. Cash flow is king, cash flow is king. Well, kind of. For example, I can buy properties in Canada that cash flow similarly to a property in the US, for example, but there are so many different rules between the two countries that it might make it more attractive to invest in one or the other. So for me, the reason why we're no longer investing in long-term real estate in Canada, even after owning 150 properties, is taxes are way too high in Canada. The landlord-tenant board, specifically in Ontario, is an absolute joke. Landlords have no rights even though we own the property. We're on title, we're paying the mortgages. the tenants have more rights than we do. Absolutely ludicrous. And the prices of real estate in Canada are just getting way too high, making it really, really hard to cash flow. And at this point, especially for single family or even a duplex, I really don't think it's even possible to make a property cash flow in Southern Ontario. So this cash flow is king mentality is really more of a personal question. And while every property you buy should cash flow, don't get too focused on only the cash flow. Think of the entire investment. Become an accounting master. So the difference between an amateur flipper and an amateur real estate investor versus the pros is that we can save money on our projects because we're thinking like a business. We have a template. We don't steer from it. We don't get caught up in the hype or liking new materials. We just stick to what works and we do it over and over and over again. That being said, don't be entirely focused on saving every single penny you can on the materials because that will lead to amateur tendencies and really crappy flips. For example, amateur investors who are so focused on getting the best deal for all these materials, they're gonna buy this like crappy flooring at the back of Home Depot because it's on sale, but it doesn't really flow, it's not modern. They only bought it because it was a really good deal. This is something we absolutely do not do. So while we're looking for the best deals, we're buying volume because we're doing so many flips, so we kind of have like wholesale prices for us. I'm still buying quality materials and I'm not steering from because I know what works. So yeah, if I was super hyper focused on saving every penny I could I save, I don't know, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 across an entire flip if I spent 80 hours looking for every single little fixture I can save on? Yeah, probably, but what I'd rather do is focus my time on training my acquisition managers or training people on my team to buy a better deal from a seller where I can get, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 reduced on the price because we're better at negotiating, we have better marketing. So that's what I'm putting my focus on, is making the big bucks and also delivering an amazing freaking product that a buyer's gonna walk through and just have their mind blown because they literally think this house is like an HGTV designed house, which is what we deliver. Anyway guys, that's the end of the video. If you do all of these things, you can also flip real estate with no money and build your wealth, build your business, and finally start living the life that you wanna live. I'll see you in the next video.